Hi everybody, it's story time. I have a really lovely story to read to you today. This is the book jacket cover. You notice that I have a hardcover book and this is the jacket. I took it off because it's easier for me to read to you with it off, but it's such a beautiful cover. Look at the cover. This story is called Carmela Full of Wishes. And what do you notice about the cover? What do you see? I see a little girl. And what is she doing? She's blowing on that flower that we call a wish flower. It's a dandelion that's gone to seed, and she's going to make a wish. And see them all flying everywhere, right? So we know that the character in this book is going to be a little girl, and her name is Carmela, right? So we're going to read Carmela Full of Wishes. This story is written by Matt de la Pena, and it's illustrated by Christian Robinson. It has really beautiful illustrations, so I want you to look at the illustrations. The illustrations, the pictures are just as important as the words. It tells us a lot about the story. Carmela Full of Wishes, this is the title page, right? That's the title page. Let's look at the picture. Look how beautiful it is. Where do you think the setting is? Where does the story take place so far as you know? What do you think that is? Yeah, it looks like a farm to me. Okay, let's see. Carmela scootered along the uneven dirt path, watching men stoop to work with their hands, her birthday bracelets jingling and jangling. The thick greenhouse air smelled of marigolds and overturned earth and fresh manure. Carmela knew exactly what manure was, but she didn't want to think about that today. Do you know what manure is? Remember I told you about my little fishy upstairs that when he poops, he feeds the plants on top of him, and about worm poop is nutrient for the soil? That's what manure is. It's animal poop that they use to give nutrients to the soil at a farm, okay? Where are they now? Do you see anything in this picture that makes you think something's going on? I have 2 hints so far about why this day is so special. Today she awoke to candles in her pancakes, and her mom sang happy birthday to you and told her, go on, mija, make a wish. But Carmela's wish had already come true. She was finally old enough to go with her big brother. Carmela followed as he cut back onto the street at Freedom Boulevard, past the crowded bus stop and fenced-off repair shop, past the old folks' home where 2 hunched old women waved and smiled, past the huge home improvement store where her dad used to stand around weekend mornings waiting for work. See her brother? And she's following behind. Let me ask you a question. I know some of you even have siblings. How do you think her brother feels about her tagging along? Look at his face. Does that tell you anything? Carmela tried to make small talk with her brother as their metal cart rattled, but her brother didn't make small talk back. He didn't want her tagging along. Too bad, she told him with her glare. See her face? You can tell how people are feeling by looking at their faces. He didn't have to say he was upset, and she didn't have to say too bad because of their faces. Just outside the laundromat, she picked a lone dandelion growing among the concrete weeds. She pulled a breath and leaned toward the fuzzy white bulb, but just before she could blow, her brother butted in. Did you even make a wish? You were supposed to make a wish. Everyone knows that. Of course I made a wish, she told him. But it was a lie. Carmela didn't know that. Carmela helped her brother sort colors one-handed, helped him load the washers one item at a time. While their clothes spun, her imagination turned, each new thought ushered in by a jingle of her bracelets. Her brother found the sound she made annoying and shot her a dirty look. Too bad, she told him with her glare. Let's look at their faces. Can we see her face? Look at his face. He's shooting her a dirty look like this. Like he doesn't like what she's doing. And she's looking back like this. Too bad, right? Too bad. She jingled her bracelets as she rode up to Miss Maria's vegetable stand, imagining a machine built into her bedroom wall, one that would spit out anything she could think of, but mostly candy. She has a great imagination, doesn't she? She jingled her bracelets in line at the locksmith shop, imagining her mom sleeping in one of those fancy hotel beds she spent all day making for fancy guests. So her mom works at a hotel, cleaning the hotel. She jingled her bracelets at the bodega down the block from their old apartment building. That's a Spanish word for a place where you go food shopping. She imagined her dad getting his papers fixed so he could finally be home. Her daddy doesn't live with her. He's in another country right now. She jingled her bracelets outside the pharmacy, eyeing the shiny new bikes in the window. Her brother stopped in his tracks. "Why do you have to be so annoying?" She drummed her bracelets at him and said, "It's a free country." The only time she didn't reach for her bracelets was when her brother ducked into his friend's house. Carmela slumped down on the curb, silently imagining all the things she could turn him into. The slimy pink tail of a rat, a cockroach scurrying away from the light, a wheelbarrow full of manure left in the sun. P.U. She stared down at the dandelion in her hand. It seemed so much more important now that she knew it was a place to place her wishes. What if she made the wrong choice? Carmela tried to hop a curb on the long trip home, but her tire caught and her handlebars twisted, and she went crashing to the concrete. "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry!" But then she saw her dandelion crushed in the drain. She looked up at her big brother, warm tears rolling down her cheeks. He lifted up her scooter. "You okay?" She shook her head and pointed. "My wish." He took her by the arm and led her back up the block, past the laundromat and the flea market, past the greenhouses and the smell of manure, past the overgrown park and across the train tracks. He didn't stop until they made it to an abandoned farmhouse near a cliff overlooking the sea. "Close your eyes," he said. Carmela closed them. "Now make your wish," he said. Carmela listened to the ocean's hum in the distance. She listened to the squawking birds. She listened to the wind whistling past her ears. Then she opened her eyes. She saw hundreds of tiny white spores lifting into the air, floating out toward the far-off surf. The sky was full of wishes. "Let's go," her brother said. "Don't you want to know my wish?" she asked. He shook his head. "If you tell me, it won't come true." She looked back one last time, then took off her bracelets and followed her brother home. Well, what do you think her wish was? Well, I think that the author wanted you to figure that out. But what I love about this story is that in the beginning, we think that her brother is mean, right? And we think he doesn't love her. But in the end, what does he do for her? He gives her all those opportunities for wishes, right? And we think about what her wishes might be. But when we think back on the things that she imagined during her trip with her brother, she imagined her mother being able to sleep in a beautiful bed in a hotel instead of having to clean it. She imagined her father being here working instead of being in another country and waiting for his papers to come through so he could live in America. So what do you think her wish was? Do you think it was for herself to have candy or a good birthday or a party? What do you think she actually wished for? I think she might have wished for her family to be together, okay? So those wishes will come true, right? Because eventually her dad will come home and they'll all be together and they'll all be happy. So I hope you enjoyed that story, Carmela Full of Wishes, and I hope you go out and make a wish for the people that you love, right? And wish everybody a happy, wonderful day. See you later.